What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So the game console giveaway is ending this Friday, at which point we'll find the winner and everything, draw for the winner, get a hold of them hopefully over the weekend, and then come back Monday with the winner to announce them, and then get the console shipped out. It's exciting stuff. So if you haven't entered, there's a link down in the description. You can do so there. Today we gotta go over EA's possibly moving things like the Frostbite engine and getting things going for the Switch now. Of course, we talked about EA being careful with the Switch. We'll say that, and kind of understand with the Wii U, but it sounds like from what we're seeing in a recent discovery that they might be more full speed ahead right now with the Switch. Again, we'll go over that. Anthem got some demo dates. We'll go over that as well. Super Lucky's Tale appears to also be possibly making the jump to the Switch. A lot of stuff to go over today, and we'll do all of that here. As always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, do hit the like button. It does help out. Let's jump into some quick news. We're going to start with Amazon as they released their list for the top game items, or just games, accessories, everything. Basically lumped everything in the video game category together, and we find out what the best-selling SKU was for all of 2018. And it wasn't a gift card this time. Usually the winner it's boring because it's like the PlayStation $10 card, you know, and they got to scroll through and figure out what the best selling game was. But this time the number one spot was not a PlayStation or a PSN gift card or currency card. It was Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yeah, you can actually see it here. Smash Bros. Ultimate was number one for all of 2018 for the best sellers just in the video games category. And yeah, there's the $10 PlayStation Store gift card, and there's the $20 card right behind it. And also you had, in number 4, the Switch kind of glass cover for the screen, another PlayStation Plus 12-month membership, but then the Switch was number 6. You got to go further down to find things like Red Dead Redemption 2 on the PS4, and even things like the NES Classic. So yeah, Smash Bros. Did that in less than a month, essentially. Yeah, Smash Bros. Has been selling exceptionally well. I don't think that's a secret. We don't know the entire number at this time because Nintendo hasn't said anything, no press release. Honestly, they might be waiting until the end of this month, because at the end of this month, they're going to have to tell us numbers on the Switch, numbers on all the different games, updates on games, everything. So maybe that's what they're waiting for, but every time we hear about sales in general, whether it's especially in the US recently, or Media Create, Smash Bros. Is like at the top, and this is just the latest example. On all of Amazon's video game just section, Smash Bros. Is number one for sales. Oh, and you remember how we had that surprise coming up for Dragon Quest XI-S? So I guess the Switch version of Dragon Quest XI. Well, it wasn't anything mind-blowing. They actually updated a website to where you can go and you can type your name in and basically get a fortune for, I guess, the new year coming up. And it wasn't anything like a new screenshot or gameplay footage or a new feature. It was kind of just a website that was updated. That was disappointing for a lot of people, I noticed, and I get it. Dragon Quest XI-S is very interesting to a lot of people. Specifically, release date, is it just going to be in Japan in 2019? Is it going west in 2019 as well? New features, actual gameplay of them sitting down and playing it, which does happen on their Square Enix streams, where they'll actually sit down and they'll play a game for a while, sometimes 50 minutes to an hour of just being on stream. So there's still a lot of questions around this game, and I think a lot of us mostly want to know what the specific features are for the Switch version. Is it endgame stuff? Is it stuff throughout the game? I'm curious what they're going to add, and unfortunately, yesterday they didn't really tell us much other than just, hey, here's the website, you can go put your name in and get a fortune back. Also, we talked about last year how the Downwell creator went to work for Nintendo, and now they're leaving. They were, what, I guess a year? They worked through 2018, and now they're gone. They actually announced this on Twitter, as you're seeing here. It's Ojiro Fumoto, and this was, I was working at Nintendo for most of 2018, but I quit at the end of the year to pursue being an indie dev again. Working there was an incredible experience, but ultimately I found my passion to simply be making a thing I want to make. So yeah, I'll get working on that this year. What's funny is people were asking him, oh, you worked there, cool. Can you give us an idea of what it was like to work there, or what you worked on, or what's going on there? And he replied with, well, there you go. Yeah, I guess a lot of NDAs are signed there, so if you leave and Miyamoto finds out, apparently he'll track you down. Obviously, that was a joke talking about, well, alluding to the fact that there's a lot of confidentiality agreements. There's a lot of NDAs signed because when you do work there, I'm sure you see a lot of stuff. I'm actually curious what he did work on. I don't know if we'll ever find out. Like, maybe in the distant future, years and years from now, after whatever game he may have been working on is released, And maybe he could be like, yeah, I actually worked on that one. Or just for fun, Animal Crossing comes out, and he's like, yeah, I helped work on some of the development for Animal Crossing or something. It's hard to exactly say what he would have been doing there, but now he's off doing the indie dev stuff again, so we'll see what he comes up with. All right, guys, quick news out of the way. Let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start right away with Frostbite possibly being moved completely to the Switch. Now, we heard at E3, Reggie talked about in an interview that it was compatible, but if you remember, EA, specifically the team behind FIFA on the Switch, kept talking about how it would be a lot of work to move this Frostbite, the full FIFA, because of course it's missing basically the story mode on the Switch because it doesn't incorporate Frostbite, which is what that's built on. They were talking about how that was a lot of work and it'd take quite a bit of time, and they're not sure if it's going to happen at all. But recently, a YouTuber by the name of Doctray81 actually found this, and we're going to go through this. It's actually on LinkedIn, and you can see it says, responsible for creating, maintaining SDKs for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, which allows game teams to integrate their games within EA environment. Engineered already existing SDKs for Nintendo Switch, allowing game teams to enable publishing games on Switch. This is a software engineer at EA, and yeah, this is pretty interesting. It even says SDKs I actively worked on have been used in Battlefield 5, Anthem, for example, and a lot of games that are being worked on by EA are using Frostbite or even being moved to Frostbite. Now, games like NHL still are on like their Ignite engine, but they've been making a big push to move even a lot of their sports titles. FIFA, again, we talked about, is on the Frostbite engine. Madden, the new one now, is on Frostbite. I think even what, 18 was even on Frostbite. So they've been pushing a lot of their games towards it. Anthem is on Frostbite, right? The Battlefield is on Frostbite. I mean, the list really goes on about all the different games that are currently on Frostbite. And it's basically it's their proprietary engine. So, of course, they want to use it in as much stuff as they can. And it's interesting to see the idea of this because, remember, it says July 2018 that they would be doing this. And there are a lot of games from even a while ago that ran on Frostbite that could possibly be like remastered maybe, or even just outright ported to the Switch. Mass Effect Andromeda was used with Frostbite. Dragon Age Inquisition is the one that I always look at and I say, yeah, that would probably work on the Switch. But also keep in mind, there's not a lot of, I guess, realistic style racing games on the Switch. So even if they pulled something like a Need for Speed style game over, they could do that as well. Which one would obviously depend on where they want to go with it. I don't think this means that something like a Battlefront 2 or even a Battlefield 5 would just make the jump instantly or anything like that. But I feel like they have an idea. And I look at this as not necessarily just Frostbite, because keep in mind, it doesn't actually name Frostbite. It just says SDKs. So they could be looking to do things like the Burnout that they brought up to the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 and put that out, kind of the remastered version with like 4K visuals and everything, made it look a little better. If they moved that to the Switch, that would be really cool. A lot of us remember we saw that announced and we said, oh, cool, Burnout's coming back. Weird that it's not on the Switch, but it is coming back. And it was always kind of in the back of your mind like, oh, well, that would have worked well on the Switch. Maybe they started to think about it a little more and say, okay, the Switch is actually doing well now. It is. It's moving along. We're going to find out at the end of January, like I said, how well it's doing. But based on a lot of stuff going on right now about the MPDs, it's going to surprise some people as to how well the Switch has been doing in this third quarter for their fiscal year alone. So maybe EA saw that and they said, okay, we're going to start moving more stuff over other than just like FIFA. That Burnout game would actually do well there because remember, we don't have a lot of racing games outside of Mario Kart. We don't have anything realistic looking really at all. Gear Club, yes, but they need some competition, we'll say that. So I would like to see something like a Burnout. Now, EA, of course, is known for their amazing business practices where they give you the entire game when you buy it, and then they don't at all charge you for loot boxes and everything. So, unfortunately, for a lot of people, EA, not really their company of choice, right? Not really, I don't buy Madden or FIFA or anything like that. But it really comes down to understanding just in general the marketplace and how a lot of people will buy a system just for one game. There's a lot of people that buy an Xbox or buy a PlayStation just for FIFA or just for Madden or, of course, Call of Duty. And if the Switch got something like Madden, which would make a lot of sense to have Madden on the Switch, then you would probably have people buy the Switch just for Madden, which of course would make the system sales go up, which in turn would mean that more developers are willing to take a chance on certain games or port certain games to the Switch. It's all a user base, it's all a numbers game, so anything really like that, like a Madden or I guess just a full FIFA or Call of Duty. All of those things work together to help to get all different games on the Switch. So it's very important to look at this and say, okay, if EA can just start moving some of their games over, I might not buy it, but a lot of people out there and like just in general in the public would probably buy into the Switch for something like a Madden because they may see the appeal of just a handheld Madden game. I would at least be interested to see that thing on there. Also, while we're on the topic of EA, quickly, Anthem did get demo dates. So you will get to try it out before it even comes out, which is great. And it's going to be kind of close to its release date. The dates that they've given us are, well, there's two different versions. There's for VIP players, January 25th to the 27th. So I guess if you want to get a little early, you can look into VIP status. And then February 1st to the 3rd for just public players, which is good. Again, you'll have to look into the VIP stuff. EA does this even with their demos now that we've seen, right? Where you have tiered releases and all this stuff. The demos are going to be on all platforms, PS4, Xbox One, and PC that it's releasing on. And according to them, you're going to start at level 10, but none of the progress actually carries over to the game. It's going to be kind of them just playing around with it, probably stress testing servers since it's so close to release. This is probably the final build of the game. They're not going to change anything in 2 weeks or anything, but they might gather data for what would probably be a follow-up patch to the day 1 patch. So pretty cool to see that, and you get to try it out. So, keep that on your radar coming up right at the beginning of February if you're just doing the public beta. Next up, let's talk about Super Lucky's Tale. Why are we talking about Super Lucky's Tale? Well, because the developers can't seem to keep quiet that it's actually coming to the Switch, apparently. Now, this isn't technically confirmed, but they keep talking about the Switch version, and now in their resumes, again, basically another LinkedIn situation, essentially, where they put this stuff on the resume. They talk about how there is a Switch port that is going on. Now, if you don't know what Super Lucky's Tale is, it was a platformer I actually played on the channel, talked about it last year, and I thought it was okay for what it was, but it wasn't anything mind-blowing. It was very average to below average. A lot of it had to do with nothing in the game being memorable or interesting, really. The character itself was not interesting. And I even talked about how, hey, if they had really been given the green light to use Conker from Conker's Bad Freddy instead of the character from Super Lucky's Tale, it would have been a lot more fun and interesting. Instead, it was a very bright and colorful, mechanically sound, by the way, game. It played well. I mean, it was a good platformer, but not a lot there to just go, oh, this is a great game. It's very memorable and it's a lot of fun. It was kind of bland, and that was kind of it. But it looked good on the Xbox at least. And now it looks like, yeah, it could be coming over to the Switch. And it makes sense, but a lot of people view this as an Xbox One PC Windows exclusive. However, Microsoft doesn't actually own the rights to the game. They actually published it. In fact, remember what to Steam, THQ Nordic actually did the publishing there, which was interesting to see. They also did that for Recore and some other games, but Microsoft doesn't actually own Super Lucky's Tale, and there's a chance that it was some kind of exclusivity deal where they had it for a year. Remember, the same thing happened with PUBG. Crash Bandicoot kind of did the opposite or the reverse from PlayStation to Xbox and everything else. And you know what? Yeah, I think Super Lucky's Tale would do better on the Switch than the Xbox, but I don't think it's going to become a better game overnight or anything. They're going to probably just move the same game over and see if people on the Switch would buy into it more so than the Xbox. I mean, maybe. I mean, here's the thing. I think it was better. Mechanically, I think it was a better game than Yooka-Laylee, for example. So if you like Yooka-Laylee, I mean, look into Super Lucky's Tale, but it wasn't this amazing style game or anything. So check out some gameplay first before you buy into it. But it released, I think, for $30 last year on the Xbox, so it's not tremendously expensive either. Then our last bit of news, I want to leave Front Mission fans from the Super Nintendo with a bit of hope and excitement. And I know there's not a lot of you out there, but there's a game coming up, and it appears to be releasing in 2019 after they put up on Twitter this tweet here that discusses Project Stella. And what you're seeing there appears to be the first in-game screenshot of it, and I'll give you a full screenshot of that here as well. And Project Stella has been teased and talked about in Famitsu on occasion. It's supposed to be a spiritual successor to the Front Mission series from back in the day, from strategy JRPGs on the Super Nintendo, or I guess the Super Famicom. It never really came over on the Super Nintendo, but there were a lot of English translations, and people made reproduction carts, for example, out of them. Anyway, this looks to be a game that is showing up in 2019, just with Happy New Year, Project Stella 2019. We don't have anything else. In fact, that screenshot is the first screenshot that we have seen at all for this, and it's going to be interesting to see how this one turns out, because we also don't know about platforms. That's right, it's coming out this year. We don't know what systems it's coming out on. If I had to take a guess, by the way, Switch, PS4, and Steam, if I had to take a guess. And it's exciting, but I'm also a bit cautiously optimistic, I guess, about this game, mostly because we don't have a lot of information. But people have been talking about Project Stella a lot, just hoping that it was going to be that, because, of course, we do see other games coming up soon that is going to be, I guess, kind of like Front Mission. What we have Left Alive coming up, another game that we've recently found out a lot of information about, but we still don't really know what exactly it is. We kind of do, but we don't really know. They left Front Mission off of the title. They didn't really dive into the lore at all. I'll play the game, but this is a little more interesting to me, Project Stella, because it looks like it's going to heavily lean into that strategy JRPG setting that something like Front Mission 3, for example, that I played on the PlayStation quite a bit, had. So hearing about that is exciting. Now it's going to come down to what system is it coming out on, because if it's just a Steam release, that'll be cool. I think it'll get buried on Steam, though, unfortunately. But if it comes out on something like the Switch, I think it'll have a lot of excitement on the Switch, because, of course, the indie scene right there is amazing right now. People really like indie games. And then, of course, on the PlayStation. I don't know if it'll come out on the Xbox, because it's heavily Japanese RPG-oriented, and we see a lot of those type of games just outright skip the Xbox. But I would have to say probably Switch, PS4, and PC. That makes a lot of sense. So we'll look forward to that in 2019, apparently. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's Project Stella and Front Mission. Maybe you're a big fan and you're really excited to see that is showing up in 2019. We'll keep an eye out for more news on that. And let me know about Frostbite, or just EA in general, supporting the Switch. We'll see, I guess, right, coming up in 2019. And then what about Super Lucky's Tale? Are you more interested on the Switch, or just the same and just don't really care? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.